Case 2135, Coleman versus Washington. All parties, please step forward.
Koana Coleman is suing caretaker Jessica Washington for stolen money, travel costs, and elder abuse.
Miss Coleman, how old is your mother?
90.
Do you live with her?
I do.
How long have you been living with her?
3 years.
You're her primary caretaker?
Yes, ma'am.
She suffers from?
Dementia.
For how long?
I identified it in December of 2019, and I just stayed from that point on, sleeping on her couch.
At some point, you had to go out of town for a period of time.
Yes.
You hired the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you get to her?
My cousin Andrea was friends with her, and she said that she would be a great candidate.
Did you interview her?
I spoke with her later on. She came by the house, and...
What date did you first speak to her?
Maybe about a day or two before I left.
And on what date did you leave?
The 11th of August.
How long were you going to be away for?
About 7 days.
And tell me, Miss Washington, are you employed now?
Yes, I am.
By whom?
Well, I do self-employment, and I also have my own little business on the side as well, you know, caring for elderly people.
Okay. Did you have any special training for the care of the elderly?
I got my AED and my CPR. No, not really, because basically I've been just dealing with family members.
For how long?
I'm gonna say at least like 5 years.
And you had no special training for the care of the elderly? Okay, and did you explain that to the plaintiff?
She knew that.
Don't tell me what she knew. I didn't ask you what she knew.
Koana Coleman claims caretaker Jessica Washington stole money from her mother, who suffers from dementia.
Okay. On what day were you supposed to report to take care of her mother?
August 11th.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Who was there?
It was Miss Coleman and her mother.
And the arrangement that you made with her was for 7 days, and you would be living with her mother.
For 7 days.
And what was she to pay you for the 7 days?
We never discussed a payment.
Well, this is what you were doing for a living, and you had jobs for the last 5 years. Is not an answer. Yes is the answer. And when you work for other people who you'll tell me about, what did you charge them?
I didn't really charge them anything. That's why I'm saying me and her never discussed a price, because she didn't know if I was going to charge her or not. Because I could have watched her mother for nothing, just because. That's family.
Okay. Well, this is what the case is about. You watched her mother for 1 day, and then you left. And according to her, her mother fell. When you left, after the 1 day, she had left $400, and you took the $400. That's what she says when you left. Your answer is that you earned that $400 in the 1 day. That's why you took it. You have a counterclaim because she has said to someone that what you did amounted to elder abuse. Now, you started on the 11th. Tell me when you left.
The date that I left was August 12th at 4:30 in the morning because I was put out.
Who put you out?
Her cousin Andrea, which is my godmother, because I called her to help me pick her mother up off the floor, which her cousin told me to leave.
No, you can't tell me what anybody else told you. Prior to 4:30 on the 12th, did Miss Coleman's mother suffer a fall?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And where did she fall?
She fell on the floor. She was sitting at the table where I was sitting at as well, too. I got up to use the bathroom.
At 4:30 in the morning?
We was up all night.
Could you tell me why?
Because she was waiting for her daughter to come back, because before her daughter left out the house, being as though that the lady has dementia and Alzheimer's, they think about the future, the past, and the present. She's thinking that her daughter is coming back because her daughter said, "I will be right back." So that's why she sat up all night long. I was trying to put her to bed. She didn't want to go to bed, so I called.
Okay, so you were there from what time in the morning on the 11th?
I got there at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on the 11th.
So you were there for a little less than 12 hours, right? You came at 5 o'clock in the afternoon,
on
and
the
at
11th.
4:30, and at 4:30 in the morning, you left.
I didn't actually leave. I was told to leave.
But you left.
Yeah, and I didn't want to.
I don't care whether you wanted to or not. It's not particularly relevant whether you wanted to or not. I understand what happened. You left, and when you left, you took the $400 that you found.
Because the mother told me to.
You mean the mother with dementia and Alzheimer's?
Yes, her mother told me to.
Just a second. You mean the mother with dementia and Alzheimer's who you stayed up with 4:30 in the morning told you to take the $400? Okay. Now, you're suing her for a lot more than the $400 because she said you had to come home from your travel. She's not responsible for that. She has to return the $400 to you. You told me 2 minutes ago, Miss Washington, that you never discussed fee.
We did.
Because this is not a question and answer. You didn't even know whether you were going to charge her anything, because as far as you were concerned, it's family. Is not an answer. And you listened to the woman that you had been hired to care for because she has dementia and Alzheimer's and had fallen, and she said to you, take this $400, it's yours. What if she told you to take a piece of her jewelry? Would you have taken that?
No.
Yeah. You would have taken it because she gave it to you.
Because I'm not no thief. I wouldn't.
No, that's not what I'm telling you. You say that you took this $400 because this woman who can't make a judgment told you to take it. What if she said to you, I want you to have my pearls? Why not?
I'm not taking no jury because I have my own. I don't need her jury.
Okay, that's ridiculous.
That's
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. I'll take a look at the instance that you have on your counterclaim for slander when she says that you are guilty of elder abuse. What do you have to show me?
It's in a court order.
What do you mean it was in a court order?
It is. She went and filed elder's abuse on me, plus the traveling expenses, too. I have that court order.
Just a second. Is that what you're telling me? In her case against you for the $400 and for any other travel expenses, which I'm dismissing, that part of her claim, she said you were guilty of elder abuse. That's protected. Okay, your counterclaim's dismissed. We're done.
Court is adjourned.
I think the judge did a great job. I assume that she would be able to deal with my mother. It's difficult being a caregiver, and we as people need to do much more to protect our elderly.
We've seen a couple of these cases, and it's so unfortunate to see the elderly, and whether they're ill or sick or mentally not capable of caring for themselves anymore, zero training that some of these people have to really care for them, and it's scary. We've seen it too many times, and $400 on the counter to someone to just take it for 12 hours worth of work.
You know, it's always struck me as a shame that society has and the government has created situations where you need licenses to do certain things. You need a license to tweeze someone's eyebrows. You have to be a cosmetologist. You have to have a license. You have to go to school. You have to pass an exam. You need a license to have a dog. But the most vulnerable people in the population, those people who, as she said, she didn't know whether her daughter was coming back or not coming back. She said she'd be right back, so she was waiting up for her. That vulnerable person, when it worked to the defendant's advantage, said, well, she was perfectly capable of saying to me,
take the money.
Take the money. Yeah. Terrible. Really frightening.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv. Cassandra Duenas is suing exotic pet store owner Brian Chow for money from a snake breeding business.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case number 212, Duenas versus Cho.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Duenas, it looks to me from your papers that you decided to go into a business with someone.
Yes.
With whom?
With the defendant, Brian Chow.
And you know him how?
He's a family friend.
And you know what his business is?
Yes.
What is his business?
He currently sells reticulated pythons, snakes, exotic animals, monitors, lizards.
And you like those things?
My ex-boyfriend did.
Did you?
I was more for the investment part.
Okay.
I was the investor at the time.
At the time you reached out to this family friend who was in the exotic snake business, your idea was to create a business.
No, Your Honor. It was actually the defendant's idea.
I don't care whose idea it was. Your idea was to create a business with your ex-boyfriend.
I agreed to the business, but it wasn't our idea.
Whether you agreed to the business or not, you invested money in the business.
Yes.
Which means that unless there's something wrong with you, and I see that there is not, you wanted to go into business with the defendant.
Yes.
So let's be easy.
Okay.
And at the time that you wanted to go into business with the defendant, I'll get to what the nature of that business was in a second. I know it had something to do with that wonderful-looking snake. You had a boyfriend.
Yes.
And the boyfriend liked snakes.
Yes.
And you went along with the ride.
Yes.
What month and year were you still with the boyfriend when you decided to go into the business, which you will explain to me?
Back in November of 2019.
So right before COVID.
Yes.
What was your boyfriend doing at the time?
He was working at an airport.
And he and Mr. Cho were friends.
Yes.
How long had you known him?
2-3 weeks, Your Honor.
Where did you meet him?
He came into my store and acquired
I didn't ask anything. That's how you met him.
Yes.
I'm going to get through this case and get this lovely thing out of the courtroom as quickly as I possibly can. Wow. Some people find them exotic and gorgeous. I find them a little bit squirmy. So in November 2019, boyfriend and you decided to go into the business. Explain the business that you invested in.
I invested on 5 reticulated pythons, 1 male and 4 females. That was the original deal.
And what were you going to do with them?
Mr. Brian Chow was going to have it in his shop, and together we were going to breed them and make a profit out of them.
So the intention was never for you to take these pythons to your residence?
No.
And you understood that? No.
They're buying the snake, Your Honor.
Okay. How much were the 5 snakes?
In total, it was $10,000, plus the feeding and the cages that he claimed that the snakes needed.
Was it your agreement that for $10,000, Miss Duenas and the boyfriend were going to buy 1 male snake and 4 females?
They decided to buy 2 snakes.
Well, when was that decision made, sir?
A week after I met him, because
When you went into the shop, did you ultimately decide on 1 male, 1 female?
No, so how it is, Your Honor, is he knew my ex-boyfriend prior to the business 5 years ago. He sold him a exotic Australian monitor lizard.
Okay, what I want you to tell me is, did there come a time when the arrangement changed, so instead of 1 male and 4 females, you were supposed to get 1 male and 1 female?
No, Your Honor. The whole way it was supposed to be 1 male and 4 females.
Do you have any sort of a receipt for that?
We have Instagram conversations.
Do you have that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
One male, 4 females. The guy's asking $15,000 for all, and then he says, I'll drop it to 12. Then somebody, I don't have 12 now. I just spent a lot on my monitor. Let's go the rest. Okay, so you say, I don't have that money now. He says, I'm getting 16 lace monitors. You remember that discussion? And then that's a big investment for me right now. I'm saving up to get a house, but I'm down to breed my monitor with any of your monitors. Keep going. So far, I don't have a contract. And then somebody says, no, you pay half and I pay half. Who wrote that?
He did.
No, you pay half and I pay half. Then you say 6,000. I'm short 6,000. I want to get them, but I'm low on cash till next month. And that's from you. That's from the reptile.
I had to say it, Your Honor.
Okay. If I invest half with you, what will be my return and in how long? Think about it. That's will be the baby's mix price. JTK Reptiles, that's you. Somebody's on their way. That's you and your boyfriend?
Yes. We were on our way to give him the money.
And how much money were you going to give him?
We gave him the first time $6,000 and then $4,000, a total of $10,000.
You received that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what did you purchase with the $10,000?
If you look at the message from there, what she showed you is they pay half of the 5 snake. It means they get 2 of the snake, and I get 2 of the snake. They've been lying to you guys since day one. They want to purchase 2 snake. Then I told them, like, if you look at the message, I can use my male to breed it to your female. It's an investment for you guys, not for us. It's no us. It's not with them at all.
Mr. Cho, were they supposed to take possession of the snakes?
They're supposed to pick up the snake. That's why they come to the store with it.
Which snakes were they supposed to take possession of?
One right here and one out there.
Is that a male or a female?
This is the female.
Has she had babies yet?
No, I don't breed her because she don't belong to me.
And how old is she?
Right now, she should be about 6 years old, going 7.
How long do they live?
Over 30 to 40 years, depends on how you take care of them, like I take care of them.
And there's another one outside the
Yes.
courtroom that's the same as this one, also a female?
Yes.
And you gave them the $10,000. He acknowledges the $10,000. So we have a verbal contract that you were going to pay for some snakes. He was going to order the snakes for you, which he did. And that was accomplished, and the payment for the snakes was done on what date, the first payment?
Approximately in November of 2019.
And when was the next $4,000 payment?
The same month, I would say like a week.
Good. And when did you order the snakes, Mr. Chow?
Right after I get yeah, because I cannot just acquire the animal without the payment.
Okay, so now you've got the payment and you order the animals.
Yes.
On what date did they arrive?
2 days after, their FedEx delivered to my shop.
And when did you notify the plaintiff that they were there?
The day that they came, I tell them the snake is
So
ready
it was
for-
also in November, sometime in November. And when did they arrive?
The snake
No.
arrived? Oh.
The plaintiff and the boyfriend.
They arrived a week after I notify the boyfriend.
Okay. Now, Ms. Duenas, a week later you went to the shop. And what happened when you went to the shop? Now he's got $10,000 and he's got 2 snakes.
I just want to clarify, Your Honor, that we even gave him money for the tanks because here in the conversations it says that he can't continue having them in tubs. So he needs us to give him money to invest to buy the tanks to house the snakes. So our original plan was for him to keep the snakes because he has the shop. We, at the time, lived in an apartment. He was well aware of this, that we couldn't have big snakes in our apartment.
He says no, you say yes. I'm not sure how I can resolve that. I'm trying to simplify this contract.
Cassandra Duenas claims exotic pet store owner Brian Chow owes her money for a snake breeding business. Brian says Cassandra changed her mind about the business after he purchased the snakes.
Okay. Part of the contract was fulfilled because you paid him. Then he ordered the snakes. Second part was fulfilled. I want you to tell me what happened when you went to see the snakes. You say to see them. He says to pick them up a week later.
So when we went to the shop,
Who
what
went?
led us to
Who went?
My ex-boyfriend and I. What led us to there is because after he obtained the snakes, he was not reaching out back to us. He was
Just a week later.
Yes.
You went to the shop. He notified you that the snakes were there. There's no question about that. Now, you went to the shop for what purpose?
because he switched it and then he said it was 2 snakes when originally the plan was 1 male and 4 females. That 1 male was going to breed with the 4. So right out the back, he lied to us what our agreement was here, that he clearly texted us and said 4 males and 1 female. So it was 5 snakes. So we went to the shop.
But there was a problem there with pricing in the Instagram messages, a suggestion, because some of the texts were unavailable. He said originally they were $15,000. And then there was some discussion of $12,000. And then there was some discussion of $6,000. He says he'll pay half and you pay half. And there, I can imagine that there was some sort of an agreement for you to keep the snakes if you were going to pay half. You were always supposed to give them the snakes. Why would you pay half?
Then they get the 2 of the snake, and I get the 2 of the other snake. It's 5 of them. And the one that we're gonna pretty much, they can have it if they want it, or I can use it when I need it.
You mean the male?
Yes.
So that was the business. Anyway, you went there, and what happened?
So I went in recording. My ex-boyfriend told me, hey, record.
Don't tell me what your ex-boyfriend told you.
Okay.
Just tell me you went in and what happened.
We went in there and we asked him, hey, we agreed on 5 snakes. Now you switched up and you said now it's 2 snakes. First you told us it was $15,000, then $12,000. You were playing games with us the whole time. And at this point, after a week later that he said that he got the snakes, then he told us it was 2 snakes. At that point, we were upset because we had planned and we had counted with 5 snakes. That's why we gave him that ridiculous amount of money. And basically, we didn't want nothing else to do with him. We wanted our money back. And that's what we went for, our money back.
Just a second. Yes. So you walked in wanting your money back?
Yes.
Do you have any text messages, Instagram messages, suggesting that before you got there, you had said to him, we changed our mind, we don't want to be in business with you, we want our money back?
No.
Nothing?
No. He wasn't reaching out. Sorry, Your Honor. He wasn't reaching out to us. He was sending him video calls. He was calling him through text message, my ex-boyfriend.
I don't care. You paid the money. He got snakes. The question is, you think there's supposed to be more than 2? He says 2. More were more money. So the ultimate agreement was for 2. So what happened when you went there? You're there with your boyfriend.
Yes.
And you say, I want my money back.
Mm-hmm.
And he says,
I don't have the money here. I have 2 snakes here.
Are you telling me that he didn't call you and say your snakes are in? Is that what you're suggesting? Do you have an invoice for these snakes, Mr. Chow?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the invoice for the snakes. By the way, your boyfriend has other of these exotic creatures. Is that right?
To the people that I get them.
What kind of exotic creatures does he have?
One that he sold him, an Australian water monitor from the Philippines.
And?
He has 2 rhino iguanas, a pair. He has a, I don't know the name, but it changes colors.
Mr. Chow?
Yes.
This is a wire transfer, May 24th, 2018. And the date of this wire transfer is August of 2018.
And those are for the lace monitor that
Are these lace monitors?
Yes.
Sorry, Your Honor, these are not lace monitors. These are reticulated pythons. These are not monitors. Monitors are lizards. These are snakes.
Lace monitor bell face.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, that's not that.
No, Your Honor.
Well, these are useless.
Yes, but that's connected to the rest of what they did.
What does it have to do with these 2 snakes? What I want to see is when you purchased these 2 snakes.
Yeah, I don't have it, Your Honor.
Well, get it. What do you mean you don't have it?
I left it at home. I'm so sorry.
Well, what'd you bring these for?
Those are the time that they both got arrested when they went to my shop.
Yeah, but you now have those back, right?
Yes.
You have those back. So if you had to take documents, why didn't you take the documents for the snakes in question? The lace monitor lizards aren't in question. You have them back. They may have taken them. They were arrested and you finally got them back. So I don't understand that.
I just mistaken grabbed the wrong paper.
Well, Mr. Chow, do you deal with these people regularly, that you buy snakes from them regularly?
Not really. It depends on the size of the animal and depends what kind of animal.
Well, you have the date of purchase someplace, Mr. Chow, and I don't want you to waste my time.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. That's why I just said I don't have it, Your Honor.
Did they purchase that kind of snake?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
It was 5 snakes, Your Honor.
Don't give me 5. That type of snake.
Oh, yes, the reticulated python, yes.
And the one that's outside is the same, correct?
Yes.
And you did not purchase baby snakes.
No.
You wanted full-grown snakes because they were a business. You wanted them able to be... Breeding. Okay. Should have brought the paperwork. And you went in there that day in November because you had changed your mind.
Yes, and on top... Yes.
Because you had changed your mind.
Yes.
That's the answer. You had changed your mind. You can give me a whole bunch of excuses, and you told him you changed your mind, you want your money back. And he said no, because I ordered the snakes, and I got them in, and they're yours. Contract is completed. I'm merely holding your property. And then there was a kerfuffle. And tell me about the kerfuffle.
The issue was that it was going back to what I was saying is, then we asked him as well, can we have like receipt? How much did you really pay for them?
No, that's not your business. That's not your business, how much you really paid for them. He made a deal, you paid him. If he got them for $2,000 and you paid him $10,000, that's nothing. The kerfuffle, let's draw this down to its most simple English. Mm-hmm. You wanted your money back and you wanted to cancel this contract.
Yes, it's just when we arrived, those weren't the snakes that we ordered. These were the breed of it, is the ones that he was putting here on Instagram, which I have, which is not those. So we ordered something and we got something else. So
is what you're telling me, you went there to pick up your, because now it's changed. You went there to pick up your snakes. Mm-hmm. When you got there, they turned out to be a different...
It's breed. It's like the...
Pythons, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They're pythons, but it was a different kind of python. Mm-hmm. Now you're telling me because it was a different python, you wanted your money back.
Yes, because it wasn't what we paid for. It's like we paid for a Ferrari and we got a Toyota, basically. It's basically
You know nothing about pythons, so... You're taking your cues from your boyfriend because that's his strong suit. Is it yours as well?
No, I'm just the investor.
Right. So your boyfriend had a conversation with him and said, those aren't the snakes that I ordered.
Yes.
Okay. And I want my money back.
Yes.
And you said you recorded all this.
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Exotic pet store owner Brian Chow of wrongfully keeping money for a snake breeding business. Brian says he fulfilled their agreement and claims Cassandra stole property from his store.
And you said you recorded all this.
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. You just press play.
Which one?
Oh, right here. And then you press that.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
Ready?
You guys just want to do the money back.
Yeah. The 10,180 in total, and then money on top of that for lending you the money and everything.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, because we didn't see this coming. You just kept on giving us a runaround and a runaround.
Oh, no, what?
About the mail. Remember that?
No, that's why I'm waiting for the mail to be delivered. I don't have the mail.
Yeah, but remember you had told us that the guy had it because he had to leave and
Yeah.
he had to gut out because he has surgery and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We gave you the money right there and then. You don't understand what mission we had to go
I
through.
didn't know. I don't mind getting you guys your money back, but I don't have cash right now. You guys caught me by surprise.
Yeah, but we're gonna have to do it today though. Like we need our money today.
If you want it right now, I don't have it.
We told you we want to do business correct, and you just keep on giving us another day and another day.
You told us as soon as we give you the money, the snake was gonna be here.
Yeah, it's not about me, it's the guy. It's not me. I'm just buying the snake from some different guy.
And then another thing where you messed up, you said 5 snakes for 6,000, and you come at me with 4 and you wasted my money.
Yeah, and I told you that he gave me only 4 snakes, the big giant.
Yeah, and why would he waste money if I told you to get the 5 snakes?
If you worry about the last one, I can pay for it. It's a mail that we don't need.
But I have to do all this, so I have to get like this for you to do that?
No, bro.
How can I trust you now?
Bro, the 4 snake is right here.
I'm gonna go get something.
What's wrong with you, bro? I'm just asking you. Let's talk.
No, we're not gonna talk. I told you don't with me.
I don't talk with you, bro.
Thing, dog.
Why? What's
That's gonna be
wrong?
mine.
Because we gave you a lot of money. We're talking about over $10,000, and you're just giving us the runaround. First, you told us
This
5
is what we
snakes.
can do. I'll take it. And when you get the money, I'll give it back. Yeah, female too.
Oh, no.
Oh, no? All right. Well,
Come on, bro. You're looking at a 15 grand.
I told you don't play with me.
I don't play with
You
you.
don't even have the money right
Open them
now.
up, man.
I got the half of the money.
Open them up.
I'm trying to talk to you, bro.
No, there's no more talking because we gave you the money right here and then. That's unprofessional. You're trying to scam us, and you don't do that to people like
I
that.
didn't. How did I scam you?
Before I open it.
You're telling me that you don't have the money.
I have half of the money because I'm waiting for the snake. Bro, if you guys gonna get arrested. If you guys
There's
stay-
no arresting. We're just getting what you took from us. Over $10,000.
I'm trying to talk
Over
to you.
10,000.
open it.
I'm trying to.
told
bro,
you
No,
don't
we
play
tried
with
to
my
talk
money.
to you.
I'm
You're
not.
telling
Don't play
us
with
you're
my
gonna have the money. I have everything in video.
I don't
Okay?
care. You can record me, bro.
All right, so are you gonna
You
open
don't
it?
play with people's money. You can call
You owe
whoever
me
you
over
want.
$15,000.
This is 15 grand.
We don't care.
Can you call a cop, please?
All right, watch out. Come back away. I told you don't play with my money.
What are you doing?
What do you mean? He owes me money. He
I
needs
don't care. Get out. 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 Get out.
Let them alone.
He owes us money. He owes us money. He owes us money.
They're gonna deal with it. With the police.
Now I'll play that video, please. That's your boyfriend breaking into the...
Yes.
Yes. And when he broke the glass and took out whatever lizards he took out with him, where did he take them? You were still with him.
Yes, he put it in a bin.
And is that you carrying them out?
Yes, and that's the reason why I was charged with the robbery, just because I walked out with the item.
That's all right. That's fine. That's a co-conspirator. Ultimately, the lizards that you took were returned to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it seems, Mr. Chow, at the beginning of this case, I must acknowledge to you that I was sympathetic to your position, that they had ordered snakes. You ordered them. You got them.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then the contract is completed. Uncross your arms.
No, I'm so sorry.
But it's clear from the tape that the plaintiff played for me that you acknowledged that you did not fulfill your end of the contract, that you were blaming your inability to fulfill your end of the contract on some third party. Is that what I heard in the tape? I mean, you know, my hearing's not really acute, but that's what you said. I have no control. I can give you back half your money, but I can't give you back all your money. So the contract was not complete.
It was complete because they supposed to get only 2 snakes.
I didn't see anywhere where it says just 2 snakes. There was a whole bunch of conversation there about the male snake, and you were supposed to deliver to them the male snake. And you said, I don't have that money now, but I can get that money for you. I can give you the first money. I don't have the second money. It was clear that the contract was not complete unless you have something to show me that it was. But what I heard, it was not. That doesn't mean that Ms. Duenas has the right to break your property and to steal property that belongs to you. What they do is they come into a court and say, you have my money. The contract was not fulfilled. I want my money back. That's what you do. Are you in the business of breeding snakes for your store?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if we were to go on the internet now,
Yes, Your Honor.
how much would one of those snakes, which is 6 or 7 years old, according to you, sell for?
Right now, this size, you're looking at it about 6,000 to 7,000 each one.
But if you trolled the internet of people who actually like those creatures in their house, for whatever reason, if you put up that snake on the internet for sale, how fast would it take you to sell it?
I'd say like about a month and a half.
They're rare.
Yes.
Is that right? That's what you're saying.
It's rare and is just not a lot of people will acquire that much money.
Even though they can sell the babies. And how many babies do they have?
In a year, they can do from 30 to 50.
And each one of the 30 to 50, you can sell for $3,500.
Yes.
I suggest you do that. She gets her $10,000 back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I'm very happy, and I'm happy that she was able to see herself that the defendant got caught multiple lies.
They're just a customer.
He wasn't truthful since the beginning. Ever since we invested.
They bought a snake. I just want to give their snake, but they don't want to take it.
And it's very sad how nowadays you can't trust in anybody.
I think one great lesson that a lot of people can take away from that is you have to know the business that you're investing in. I can appreciate she was sort of doing it for her boyfriend and he had the knowledge about the exotic animals, but that's her money at the end of the day. And if you're going to put your own hard-earned money on the line, it should be a business that you at least put in the time to learn about.
Understand.
Exactly. So that you don't have to rely on somebody else to make the right decisions.
Who's going to be gone tomorrow?
Exactly. Exactly.
And your money
who potentially could, and then you're left on your own, having to sue and navigate a field that you really know nothing about.
Smart. And it was also an example of a contract that was not fully executed. I actually thought when I started the case that there was an offer, an acceptance, you performed, paid the money, got the snakes, and then you can't change your mind. Once you get it, you say, well, I changed my mind. But that's not what happened.
Nope.
And her video demonstrated that that's not what happened because Mr. Chow started to waft. Well, it's not my fault I don't have your mail. It's another guy, and I would give it to you, but I can't give it to you as soon as I get it, you know.
Yeah.
So he did not deliver on the contract. So I had very little compulsion other than to say, you don't have to take the snake and you get your money back.
Yeah.
Anyway, done. Yeah. And the snake is gone.
Left the building.
Tracy Shaw for wrongful eviction and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Case 2097, Duran versus Shaw.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Duran, the defendant is the property manager at a place where you used to live.
Yes.
And you are suing her for evicting you from that place. You want a whole bunch of money. You're suing her for $10,000 for your moving expenses, for assault, for emotional distress because you had to move. Ms. Shaw says that your behavior caused you to be evicted. You violated the rules, and that's why you were served notice of eviction. So first, let me know when you started living at the property that is managed by the defendant.
In 2018.
Did you have a lease?
Yes, I did.
Do you have a copy of that lease with you?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Okay, so this initial lease was August of 2019, and it terminated on July 31st, 2020. It provided for 3 people to live in the apartment. Okay, and was the lease renewed?
Nope.
Okay, and so then you became a month-to-month tenant?
Yes.
And that was in February of 2020.
They also increased the rent.
That's okay. They're allowed to do that. That's a business.
No, I know.
They're allowed to do that. When your lease was extended on a month-to-month basis after February of 2020, would you tell me if the same people lived in the apartment as were on the original lease?
No.
So more people moved in?
Yes.
Who?
That would be my sisters and my mother.
Sisters?
Yes.
2 sisters?
Yes.
And when did they move in?
Maybe about, maybe 2020, maybe? Couldn't really be positive.
So that would have been in violation of your original lease?
Yes.
And it was an apartment that you were renting? And the apartment complex has a pool?
Yes, it does.
And the incident around, circumstances surrounding this eviction that was served on you, that happened in what month and year?
It was in June of this year.
How long, Ms. Shaw, have you been the property manager?
Since the end of November of last year.
November of 2021?
Yes.
And in November of 2021, did you know that there were additional people living in the house?
Yes.
And didn't tell her that they had to vacate, that it was in violation of the terms of her underlying lease?
I had that morning, actually, when the confrontation happened.
No, I'm talking about, pay attention. My question was, did you register any complaint with the plaintiff about the additional people living there? Be very careful that you tell me the truth, because I know that you think you may know where I'm going, but you don't. Did you make any complaint to her November, December, January, February, March, April, or May? The answer is either yes or no about the other people living in the house.
No.
So I guess I'm going to start with you, because an incident occurred that resulted in her being evicted, that you serving her with a notice of eviction.
Right.
Tell me when that took place, because I have to know what your reason was. That's a fair statement.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So in June 22, like I said, that morning I had served on
What
that
morning?
June 21st or something, I believe.
What kind of letter were you serving on her?
I just gave them, mine is, it's just a complaint notice, you know, saying that.
Do you have a copy of that? Do you know what she's talking about?
Yes, I have a copy.
I'd like to see it.
There you go.
Okay, well, this is a letter that says you and your company were eating and drinking in the pool area. Even after I told them to stop, that it wasn't allowed, they did not stop. And there is absolutely no eating or drinking in the pool area. Okay, so that's the letter she served to you, and that was on June 21st.
That's the letter she
Now, who was eating and drinking in the pool?
That would be my sister.
That wasn't just your sister.
No, it was her and her friend.
No, just a second. Let's get it together. So your sister, who wasn't supposed to be there, but they sort of let that skate.
Oh.
Who wasn't supposed to be there.
Okay.
Okay, so your sister and who else?
That would be my sister, her boyfriend, and 2 of her friends, or 3 of her friends, I think.
Had they ever been to the pool before?
My sister has, but not her friends.
So the person who wasn't supposed to be living with you, that's your sister,
yes,
invited her boyfriend and 3 other friends to the pool.
She called and asked if it was okay first.
She asked you?
Yes.
And you said fine?
Yes.
You didn't call the manager?
No.
Okay. And you are aware that there's no eating and drinking in the pool?
That's not what it says on my lease.
Is that what it says at the pool?
Nope.
Does it say anywhere in the house rules?
Nope.
Nope, it's not an answer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The answer
no,
is no.
No, ma'am, it is not.
No. Now, when you've been living there for a long time, do you use the pool?
Yes, I do.
Ever had any trouble in the time from November of last year? Ever had any complaint?
Nope.
Nope
no,
is not an
sorry,
answer.
Sorry.
No is the answer. No,
yeah,
no complaint.
Okay, no, sorry.
Okay. And did you discuss with your sister and her friends that there were any rules that she had to abide by?
No, I did not, because I was not home yet.
Stand up. First name is?
Aaliyah.
You were their boyfriend and 3 girlfriends. Any children?
No.
You know this lady?
Yes.
What happened when she came to tell you that there was no eating or drinking at the pool?
So we were standing.
Just what happened when she told you?
She came screaming at us, telling us that we needed to get the food out and that we needed to go.
Get the food out. What kind of food had you
It was
brought
just
in?
pizza and like a soda and water.
So it wasn't a piece of fruit. You were having a meal there, pizza
Yes.
and food. Had you ever seen your sister bring food into the pool area?
Snacks, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not talking about snacks. Did she ever bring food into the pool area?
No.
What prompted you to order food into the pool area?
It was a hot day and we were hungry and I'm not sure.
You asked your sister if it was okay if you and your friends came.
Yes.
Since you never saw anybody, because usually there are signs posted around a pool. I've lived in enough places to know, and the pool signs usually say no jumping in the pool, no food or drink around the pool, right?
Yes.
Most pools say that.
Yes.
Did this pool say that?
It just said, like you said, no jumping in the pool, no diving, to come into the pool, but it never said nothing about food, drinks, nothing like that.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So now you please establish to me, Miss Shaw, that there was notice that there was no food and drink at the pool.
Their pool addendum.
May I see?
And then also no guest addendum.
Just a second.
It's all part of their...
Hold on. You're Melissa Duran.
Yes, I am.
And that's your signature?
Yes.
Yes. The pool is reserved exclusively for the use of residents of the building. That's what it says.
Okay.
That's what you signed. No diving in the pool area, no intoxicated persons. Okay. I just want you to show me here, first of all, the only thing that they are violating is that pool is reserved exclusively for the residents of the building. That's in here, but I don't see anything about food.
The new pool addendum wasn't part of their contract. So when we put out the new one, it was for more updated tenants, but we didn't serve them on the food, we served them on the guests.
Is what you're saying to me, the only thing that she signed is this, and there is no sign around the pool that says no eating or drinking?
There is a sign by the pool.
Do you have a copy of it?
I don't have a copy of that.
Why not?
I texted her that I was sorry that they had food in the pool, and I did not know that.
So that you knew they weren't supposed to have food in the pool?
Yeah, but I didn't know they bring it.
Just a second. That's not what I asked you.
Melissa Duran claims her former property manager, Tracy Shaw, owes for a wrongful eviction and an assault.
Okay, go ahead.
Because she had moved in prior to them changing the pool addendum, I posted the new pool addendum on all of the doors, and I have actually text messages of Melissa asking me, can we, the no floaties? And I said, well, of course,
May I?
For children and whatnot, but not big floaties. Okay. So she was acknowledging the pool addendum that I had.
That I'll see. Now, she's going to show me your text messages to her.
Yes.
So you received the revised pool rules?
Yes.
And did the new pool rules say anything about guests?
No, it did not.
So if it said nothing about guests, you originally said that the pool is specifically reserved for residents of the complex.
Yes.
And according to you, the new pool rules, do they talk about having floaties in the pool?
Yes, it did.
Did it talk about having guests at the pool?
Yeah, actually it did.
And what did it say?
There was no problem, just like on the original lease. It was
No.
fine to have guests in the pool.
No, that's not what this says. This says that the pool is reserved for residents of the building only.
Well, we were already told before that it was fine to have guests.
This is the contract that you signed.
Yes, I understand.
Okay? So this is the first one that you signed, this one.
Mm-hmm.
And absent anything else, this says no guests at the pool. This says residents only.
Okay.
You say that it was the new rules allow you to have guests, or were they silent?
There was nothing on there saying that you cannot have guests. It was mainly just saying that you cannot have floaties, you cannot jump or run into the pool.
Just a second. Did it say anything about food?
No.
Is there a new sign posted around the pool that talks about food?
No, it does
All
not.
I want to see is, Miss Shaw, something in the new rules that talks about food. And I'm getting very bored with this. Now, when Miss Shaw came over and told you you couldn't have food, you had to get rid of the food, about what time was that?
Probably like 5, 6, I'm not exactly too sure.
And when had this food and stuff arrived? Was it?
We brought it. We were coming in with the food. We walked in with the food. I'm pretty sure she's seen this.
So you and your group, 5 people, walked in with dinner to the pool area. And did the dinner include any alcoholic beverages like beer?
No.
What kind of drinks were there?
It was Pepsi. It was soda.
And what happened when Miss Shaw came over and told you you weren't allowed to have the food at the pool?
She came very aggressively.
She came aggressively and she said you're not allowed.
She stormed out and screamed, get the food out and you guys need to leave.
And so what did you do?
I told her, okay, I'd get the food out, and I made a call to my sister to come help me with the food. And as we were packaging...
Where was your sister?
She was upstairs.
So when you came out with the food, you came out of the apartment?
No, we had just gotten there. We were coming from another pool area that wasn't
open. What other
open.
pool area?
My boyfriend's friend. We were going to swim at his pool, but it wasn't available because there was too many people there.
Were you at your boyfriend's house during the day?
No, I was at school, and they were all at work, so we all just met up after everything.
Okay, so you were asked by Miss Shaw to get the food out, and then you called your sister.
Yes, and I told her.
And then what happened?
And I told her if she could come get the food while we swam, or if not, that we were going to leave.
Why didn't you just get out?
Well, because I was trying to help, because we were splitting the check through the money, so we're splitting the pizza, who's getting what, and all of that. And before we even could leave, she stormed out again, screaming, saying, you guys are getting a notice, you guys are getting a notice, and running up the stairs to her, because she was coming out. And she was like, hey, what's going on? And then she was like, you guys are getting a notice. I'm tired of everybody not listening and coming to me with your problems. And then my sister was like, whoa, hey, relax. I'm coming to get the food. And then she threw the paper and my sister backed up
Okay,
she,
so the letter, she gave your sister the letter.
It was a notice.
She gave you the paper that said, this is a complaint. There are people in the pool who are eating, drinking, they don't belong here, they're not, whatever. She said, here's your notice.
Yes.
Okay, and that was on the 21st of June. Then what happened?
Well, after she threw the paper at me, she turned back around, still yelling, and she stomped down the stairs, and I'm trying to tell her, you didn't give me time to come and get the food. And she ran back in her apartment and slammed her door.
And she went back to her apartment, and you went where?
Back into my house.
Okay, you went back into your house. And what did you do when you went back into your house?
When I got back there, I texted her, telling her that I was sorry that they had food in the pool, and I did not know that, because I did not know at the time.
Just a second. So, Ms. Duran, let's cut to the chase, so that you knew they weren't supposed to have food in the pool, only snacks.
Yeah, but I didn't know they bring it, the thing.
Just a second. That's not what I asked you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You knew that there was no food in the pool, only water and snacks.
Okay, yes.
So you knew that.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Now, if you know that, and you have given, I'm just telling you what the law is. Mm-hmm. If you know that there is a rule, and you don't convey that, that's your problem, okay?
Okay.
All right, so that's June 21st, when guests that you agreed to have in the pool, you didn't know that there was food there. You knew that there wasn't supposed to be food there. That knowledge is imparted to your guests. That's a legal assumption. I want to know what happened after June 21st. When were you served with a 3-day notice to quit?
I believe it was on the 24th.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. I have 3 of the same. They sent me 3 of them.
I just have to see one. Did the attorney, who you say you gave by a cash app, return any of the monies? Okay, well, you served this 3-day notice to quit, Ms. Shaw, and in it, you are alleging threatens to commit a crime. So I assume that the person, it talks about a statement, threatens to commit a crime. I assume that the threat was directed to you. Yes. In any event, you were given a 3-day notice to quit, but actually you managed to get that extended to 30 days.
Yes.
And one of the things that you had to do was to hire an attorney.
Yes.
And when you hired an attorney, did you hire an attorney and pay a retainer?
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay. I'd like to see proof of what you paid the attorney.
I don't think I bring the one that pertained to the lawyer. What I do have is him finding out what the criminal act was.
No. You're a month-to-month tenant.
Yes.
Landlord has a right to give you a 30-day notice, and say, you have to quit the premises. You have no legal right to be there. My only question is, you were not given 30 days notice. You were given a 3-day notice, and I'm not actually convinced that there was a basis to give you a 3-day notice. If I called him, would he tell me that you paid him $1,200?
Yes, he would. Though I still owe him $250.
So you paid him $950.
Okay, okay.
What do you mean, okay?
Melissa Duran has accused her former property manager, Tracy Shaw, of wrongfully evicting her. Tracy claims Melissa was violating apartment rules.
Now, if you got 30 days, and the reason you got 30 days is because you retained an attorney, I'm prepared to look to see how much you paid the attorney, because that's an expense that you have that you wouldn't have had but for the 3-day notice to quit. They're entitled to tell you to leave. I mean, you're there with too many people living in the apartment. They've already had a kerfuffle because you allowed your sister and her boyfriend and friends to come to the pool. They were told no food. They ignored them. But I don't think any of that rises to the level of grounds to give you a 3-day notice to quit. I think that if they want to tell you that you have to be out in 30 days, that's reasonable, but they didn't. They gave you a 3-day notice forcing you to hire an attorney. I'm prepared to give you the attorney's fees if you prove to me that you paid an attorney.
I do have proof of that, but I do not have it with me.
Okay. And how much did you pay him? That's an easy thing for me to verify.
I believe it was $1,200.
I want you to think about it carefully.
No, it was $1,200 because he had lowered it. He lowered it from $1,400 to $1,200.
And you paid him by check or cash?
I paid him in Cash App. Is the only way I could.
Did he go to court with you?
We haven't. This is the first court we have been to.
So how did he get you 30 days?
Because I got the 3-day notice and it kept saying I committed a criminal act.
Okay,
So that was the reason why I obtained the lawyer, so he can find out what the criminal act was.
And just by phone calls, he got them to extend it to 30 days. So you were never in, and you left after the 30 days.
I left before the 30. I left on August 1st.
Okay. And where did you go?
I had to move all the way to Atwater, California.
Is that where you live now?
Yes, it is.
And who lives with you?
My husband and my young son. That's it, just the 3 of us. We moved into a smaller, more expensive place.
Okay, and you left your sisters?
And my mother.
And your mother.
They are somewhere completely different.
Okay, what do you...
This is in their lease about disturbances and threats.
Listen, I've already made a determination that the 3-day notice should have been a 30-day notice to leave. I don't think that anything that I've heard today rises to the level of giving people who've been in the apartment as long as they had, especially over pizza, requires a 3-day notice. So the only question that I'm entertaining on behalf of the plaintiff and the only monetary award that I'm going to contemplate are attorney's fees. Did the attorney, who you say you gave by a Cash App, return any of the money since he never had to go to court for you?
No, he did not.
Just a second. If I called him right now, would he tell me that you paid him $1,200?
Yes, he would. Yes, he would. Though what I was going to tell you is that I did not have enough to pay him completely. I still owe him $250.
So you didn't pay him. So you paid him $950.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry.
What do you mean, okay?
No, I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't.
So you paid him $950?
Yes.
I'm awarding you $950, which are your attorney's fees, for the reason that, I'm speaking, for the reasons that I've stated, because they have an absolute right to give you a 30-day notice, tell you to leave, and there was a basis for it, actually. And you know, there was a basis for saying your guests, which is you, are not abiding by the rules. You're a month-to-month tenant. Right now, we do not intend to keep you as a tenant. We're giving you 30 days notice to find another place. I think that would have been absolutely a problem. Speaking would have been absolutely appropriate. I think a 3-day notice to quit was inappropriate given the level of infraction. So I'm awarding you the counsel fees because that's what it took to get you your 30 days. This case is over. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I'm disappointed in the decision.
Her actions of her aggression, throwing something in my face, that was a little bit excessive.
I don't feel that I got to say more of the story that continued to happen.
Her actions caused me to get evicted in 3 days.
They have bad character, and so I don't think that I owe them anything.
I mean, I didn't think anything like would come to this, you know.
I'm just glad they're gone.
I'm happy to be out because I just really wanted her to be held responsible for what she did.
So a trend I've seen a lot here is plaintiffs suing for wrongful eviction when they're a month-to-month tenant. And from what I've learned in landlord-tenant law in New York, I know it varies a lot from state to state, is the landlord only has to give you as much notice as your term, which if you're a month-to-month tenant would be 30 days. So people have to really understand the legalese of their contract and of their lease, because if you feel like you're being wrongfully evicted as a month-to-month tenant, that's a different standard than if you have a standard year-long written lease.
Well, that's sort of the reason. I didn't think that the one instance that was raised was sufficient to give them a 3-day emergency notice to quit. Might have been enough, that coupled by the fact that there were too many people living in the apartment, to give them a 30-day notice. That is, you're right, it's your property. But I didn't think it rose to the level of a 3-day notice to quit for threats.
I didn't either, so I agreed with your $950 judgment for the attorney's fees.
Would have been happier if she had some sort of a receipt or something from her Cash App, because she very quickly changed the $1,200 to $950.
She was honest.
I think the right thing happened.
Case 2053, Johnson versus Blue. All parties, please come forward.
Rochelle Johnson is suing her sister-in-law, Monique Blue, and her brother, Antonio Blue, for unpaid rent and window blinds.
Ms. Johnson, the defendant is your brother.
That is correct.
And his co-defendant, your brother's wife. You had a home that was located in what state?
California.
Several years ago, you decided to move out of state, I think to Arizona?
Yes.
And at that time, you discussed with your brother and his wife renting your home. You entered into a lease with them. Was it a 2-year lease?
Yes, ma'am.
And it was a written lease?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that lease?
I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
That's a 2-year, and I also have a 6-month.
No,
want the 6. Okay.
Just the first lease first, because I'm old and I can only absorb a certain amount of facts at one time. It's a pretty straightforward lease. It's a lease for 24 months, starting the 1st of July, 2019, and terminating on July 1st, 2021. $1,600 a month rent, there's a small security deposit, and all the other terms and conditions are rather standard. Your complaint says that when you went to the state of Arizona, ultimately you ascertained that your health coverage, your lifetime health coverage, was not covered in the state of Arizona. You decided you wanted to move back to California. You don't even have to give a reason why you want to move back to California. You can move back to California into your house on July 1st, 2021. You understand that?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. And you came back to California on what date?
I don't recall the exact date, but I also extended a 6-month.
I understand. When did you come back to California? In March. That's what you said here. I think in March.
Okay, right now I don't recall.
I think in March of 2022 is when you ultimately came back, because they vacated sometime the beginning of March.
No, I came back prior to that. I stayed with my son for a year until
the lease was up.
Yes, ma'am.
Your son lives in California?
Yes, Beaumont, California.
Now, I'd like to see the extension of the lease for 6 months. Okay, so you acknowledge, Mr. and Mrs. Blue, that the 6-month extension that you both signed terminated on December 31st.
Yes.
Did you vacate the house on December 31st?
No, we hadn't found a place yet.
That's not her problem. That would be your problem. Did she give you permission to stay beyond December 31st? On what date, sir, did you close on that property?
I can't remember offhand.
We're not talking about so long ago.
February 7th is listed as the closing date.
That sound familiar? That's what it says.
Yes.
Well, then you had 3 weeks to move in.
Rochelle Johnson claims her sister-in-law, Monique Blue, and her brother, Antonio Blue, owe for unpaid rent and window blinds. Monique and Antonio are countersuing for harassment and invasion of privacy.
Okay. Did she give you permission to stay beyond December 31st?
No.
So you stayed beyond December 31st. Were you there in January? Uh-huh is not an answer.
Yes.
Were you there in February?
Yes.
Were you there on March 1st?
Yes.
On March 2nd?
Yes.
On March 3rd?
Yes.
On what day in March did you move out?
March 5th.
Did you pay rent in the month of January?
No.
February?
No.
March?
No.
Okay, that's what you're suing for.
Right.
Well, you have a defense for not paying rent for those 3 months, which you clearly occupied her premises. Who wants to tell me why you didn't pay rent?
She told us in the beginning we were supposed to buy the house. We did numerous renovations to our house. We cleaned it up. And when we first moved in July 1st, it wasn't move-in ready.
I don't care. You lived there. Not only did you live there, you executed a second lease for another 6 months. You lived there from the beginning of the lease up until March 5th, which is 3 months beyond when you were supposed to be there. I'm waiting for a defense and not paying rent.
Yes. For July 2019, when we first moved in, the house was hideous. She had stuff in every room. We weren't able to move our stuff in.
Did you live there?
Yes, we had nowhere else to go.
I don't care. You had a choice. If the house wasn't in move-in condition, you break your lease, but you don't say at the end of the lease, by the way, when we were there 2.5 years ago, the house wasn't ready for us to move in. It wasn't in condition that we liked. We lived there anyway. So that's not an excuse for not paying rent at the other end. Anything else?
Yeah. She offered to give us the last month rent that we were there for free.
The last month?
The last month rent. I have the papers.
Well, I'd like to take a look at that, but you owe 3 months.
3 months? We moved off March 5th.
I don't care. You were there March 1st. That's the month.
Okay.
Did you indicate to them that you would give them a month off the rent? Okay.
No, ma'am.
She says that you did.
I'd like to see your evidence as well.
No, just shh. No, she agreed to waive the final month's rent for the period of April 1st, 2022 to May 2nd, 2022. You were gone in March.
Right.
And your lease, for some reason, she agreed to waive rent for a month that you weren't there. She didn't waive January, February, or March. She agreed to waive it April 1, 2022 to May 2nd, 2022. That's no evidence that she waived any rent.
We moved out in March 5th. Why do we still owe her for March?
Because you were there in March.
Okay.
If she was using the premises as a rental premises and you were leaving at the end of February, then she would have been able to rent her premises beginning March 1st. You don't move out until March 5th. The beginning of March. That means she needs a couple of days, or any landlord would need a couple of days to put the place in order and re-rent it. They wouldn't be able to re-rent until April. So you were there. Is there any reason you stayed until March 5th instead of... Just a second. You didn't let me finish the question. Is there any reason why you didn't move out the last day in February and instead stayed into March?
Because our house wasn't ready yet.
What do you mean it wasn't ready?
We wasn't ready to move in there yet.
What was wrong with it? Where did you move?
Victorville, California.
Okay. To what kind of property?
We bought a house.
Okay. When did you buy the house? What month?
We did close January something.
So you bought the house in January. Mm-hmm. When you inspected the house that you bought, did you buy it furnished or unfurnished?
Unfurnished.
Did you have furniture in the plaintiff's house?
Yes.
You'll give her the address so she can check it?
Yes.
Great. Sarah, just look it up for me, please. On what date did you close on that property?
February?
No, don't.
February.
On what date, sir, did you close on that property? It's probably in the record.
I can't remember offhand.
We're not talking about so long ago. Is there an address?
February 7th is listed as the closing date.
2/7. So the house became yours on February 7th. That sound familiar? That's what it says.
Yes.
Well, then you had 3 weeks to move in, to get it ready.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well,
All right. Fine. So you owe her 3 months' rent at $1,600 a month.
What about the renovations we did to our house?
Who cares? I live in a place for a couple of years, and I make changes to the place that I find make it more comfortable. There's nothing in this lease agreement that says that she has to reimburse you for things that she did, and this is not a rent-to-buy agreement. This is a straight tenancy agreement.
We were supposed to buy her house.
There are agreements that are rent-to-buy that list what the rental is and what the ultimate purchase price will be, and whether or not you can deduct the rent that you've paid or a percentage of it from the total purchase price, or whether you cannot. This is a straight rental agreement. So if you made improvements in the house, if you painted it, if you put in new carpeting to make it more comfortable for yourself, you don't get reimbursed for that because there's nothing in your lease that requires her to reimburse you for any improvements that you make in the house. You're bound by the four corners of the contract that you signed.
Well, what about how the conditions that we moved in?
Well,
that she doesn't.
Yes. By living there for 2.5 years, without, I assume, unless you can show me, without, I assume, a written complaint to her. Do you have that? Do you have a written complaint? No. I asked you, sir.
I have pictures.
$4,800. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you. You count the claims dismissed. It's ridiculous.
My mother's deceased, and it would actually hurt my mother to see us in court today. And that's my only regret, that I had to do that.
We're done.
The bottom line is, I am back in my house.
So I had a thought about that case because going through college, I think the first time I saw a lease was my sophomore year or so when I moved off campus. And my dad, luckily enough, was there to help me look over it and sort of teach me what a lease was, what the different sections meant, what I should really be looking out for. So in my mind, it would make sense for colleges to offer a basic life skills course to teach young incoming freshmen how to read a lease, how to negotiate on your behalf.
Did they offer that class at all to undergraduates?
It seems specified to business students or closed off to certain majors. Just to have some guidance would have been, I think, really helpful.
I think so.
Miss Shara Garrett is suing her former friend, Michael Codia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, for a personal loan, car damages, and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2056, Garrett versus Codio scenario.
Thank you. Ms. Garrett, this gentleman, Michael Codia, is that
correct?
Codia?
Yes.
You and Mr. Codia have been lifelong friends, according to what I read in the complaint. Lifelong, you're both very young. How do you know him?
Well, we used to ride bikes together. His mom used to also braid my hair when I was a child every Sunday.
But you and Mr. Codia were never involved in any relationship other than just friendship?
No.
And Mr. Codia, Miss Serrano is currently your girlfriend?
Correct. Yes, Your Honor.
She had been your girlfriend and been living with you for a while, and you have a child together?
Yes, correct. Well, she's currently pregnant. We're expecting, they're expecting.
Great. You had a fight with Miss Serrano, and that was around June of this year?
Yes, Your Honor.
And it was a substantial enough fight that Miss Serrano left the home, and she left the home with your child. And how old is your child?
As I was saying, we are expecting.
So you don't have a child together?
She's 6 months pregnant, though, currently.
Okay. So you just living, and she left?
Correct.
At about the same time, Miss Garrett, your friend, needed a place to stay.
I wouldn't say needed a place to stay, but...
What would you say?
It was more like, I kind of had a clue, like she had a place to stay, but it was just one of those situations.
No, look over here. Look over here. Okay.
Sorry.
Now, Mr. Codia, I want you to understand there are very few stories that are new under the sun. I want you to really understand that. I have children. I have grown grandchildren, boys and girls. I've seen all the movies that I want to see about romance and guys. So your girlfriend leaves you.
Yes.
Yes. And would it be fair to say that you invite Miss Garrett to come and stay with you?
Yes, it would be fair.
Had you ever invited her to come and stay with you before?
No, I have not. Not in the current apartment that I'm staying in right now, no.
Had you in another apartment?
No.
So the answer is you had never invited your friend to come and stay with you before?
No.
Interesting. So on June 27th, she left. On what date did you invite Miss Garrett to come and stay in your apartment?
June 16th.
June 16th?
Yes.
So 11 days before Miss Serrano left?
Miss Serrano left about a week prior to her coming.
What date did you leave, Miss Serrano? Do you recall?
I don't recall. I recall it was the end of or mid-June of this year, I would say. I had personal things going on, so I really wasn't, you know.
Now, Miss Serrano, I'm going to ask you why you left.
We had a falling out. Me and Michael had a falling out.
Yes. What did you and Michael have a falling out about?
Well, at the time, my mother was in the hospital, so that it was a disagreement surrounding having to move back home and take care of her in the household. And that was pretty much it.
Well, what did he say? He said he didn't want you to, and you...
Yeah, he pretty much, long story short, didn't want me to move back to my mother's house, so that caused, you know...
Okay, so he wanted you to stay?
Yes. Yes, he wanted me to stay, but, you know...
He wanted you to stay. Now, did you know that the two of you were expecting at that time in June?
Yes.
So he knew that you were expecting a baby, that you wanted to go back to your mother's house because she was ill and you wanted to help take care of her. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And despite the fact that he said, don't go, you left?
Yes, ma'am.
And you went home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And it would be fair to say that he was annoyed?
Yes.
Oh, I'm getting this whole picture now. It's so easy. Okay. And about a week later, he invites this attractive young lady who's been a friend of his for a long time, a non-romantic friend, to move into the apartment.
Yes.
You know that that was nasty, right?
Oh, no, yes, I know.
You know that was nasty.
That was an agreement between them.
No.
And, you know.
But you know that that was a sort of a nasty thing to do.
Oh, no, I'm fully aware. Yes, yes ma'am.
I just want you to know what you're sort of dealing with.
Yes,
you know.
I'm fully aware of what I'm dealing with. Thank you, though. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, so, Mr. Codia, in order to sort of get even a little bit, you invite Miss Garrett to come and move in. No rent or anything, because you didn't have an agreement to pay rent. You weren't going to pay rent or anything, and you moved in. And you moved in on?
I moved in on the 1st.
On the 1st of?
July.
July 1st. Now, Miss Serrano, I'm going to come back to you because this is such a fascinating story.
Oh, Lord.
Such a fascinating story. And he deserves to get dumped on a little bit.
Oh, there's more where that came from, yes. I said that's more where that came from, yes.
Okay, and between the time you left and July 1st, when Miss Garrett was invited to come to stay at the house, were you in communication with Mr. Codia?
Yes, I would say like every day or every other day we spoke, you know, arguments, you know how it is.
Yeah, well, you know, first of all, you're pregnant and you have emotions and then you're taking care of family members and whatever, and so I got it. Did he tell you that Miss Garrett was moving in?
Yes.
When?
I would say I found out around like the 27th, 28th.
Of June?
Yes.
Tell me how you found out that she was moving in.
I believe at that point she was already moved in at that point.
Okay, and what made you think that?
Just based off of how the conversation went or how he told me.
Tell me what he told you.
What I was told was that a friend was moving in to solely cook and clean.
See what's happening, Tim? This fly is getting vengeance on
Not getting on the
food. What the hell's going on? Oh, you got a swapper too, wow.
I'm waiting for it to come over here.
Yes.
Nashira Garrett claims her former friend, Michael Codia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, owe for a personal loan and an assault.
Tell me what he told you. I'm curious. I want to know.
What I was told was that a friend was moving in to solely cook and clean. That's what I was told.
Okay, did he tell you who?
Who it was. I never met her.
But he told you who it was?
Yes, he told me who it was.
And that made you, I would probably guess, a little annoyed and unhappy.
I mean, I was annoyed.
I would be annoyed.
I mean, I was annoyed because I had personal things going on, but in between that time before actually realizing that she was living at my apartment, I actually had a brief interaction with her. I met her at a park. I met her. So...
Between the time you moved out?
Yes.
Okay. Was it you met because you contacted each other, or you met by accident?
We met because me and Michael just, you know, had a conversation to have had at that point in time. I'm assuming she was there in the area, so he just wanted to kill two birds with one stone. He said, do you want to meet the person, you know, who's there, who I'm living with, and that's how it went.
And was it a cordial meeting?
Yes, it was.
You met her, she met you?
Yes.
And he said, I just want you to meet the lovely-looking girl that I'm now living with because you went home to take care of your mother.
I guess so, if you wouldn't have put it.
Yes,
Don't forget.
This is what your case is about. First, you claim that you loaned Mr. Kodia $750 for rent.
Yes.
And you did that because he said once Miss Serrano moved out, she wasn't paying her rent. He was short on rent. That's what I read here. Mr. Kodia has a whole different story. He said while he told you that he was a little short on rent and he was going to have to get a third job.
That's not true.
Just a second. You jumped in and offered to give him $750. That's what you wrote here. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, Mr. Kodia, did you tell Miss Serrano that somebody was moving into the apartment just to cook and clean? That's what she says.
Yes, that's exactly my words. Exactly my words, yeah.
That's exactly what you told her.
Correct.
You didn't tell Miss Serrano, the soon-to-be mother of your child, that you had a roommate who was paying rent.
I did not.
Miss Serrano, what kind of work were you doing when you were living together in June?
I had a work-from-home position, will still currently do as a Medicaid specialist.
Were you sharing rent with him?
Yes, everything was 50-50.
Did you pay him any rent in July?
No, I did not.
Did you pay him rent in June?
Yes.
So you paid him the $750. That was your share of the rent? Is that what your share was?
That was my share of the rent. June was already paid for. July I did not pay because I did not believe I was going to be there.
Okay. Tell me what he said to you that caused you to give him this $750.
Well, he texted me one morning and said that Brianna was no longer going to pay her half of the rent as of July, and that if he could...
You were living there already?
Yes, and if I give him $750, he would give it back to me. And we never discussed anything about me cooking or cleaning. I actually brought groceries, which he said that he would pay me back for, too, while I'm staying there.
Okay, so you were actually there for 5 days, is that right?
About 5 days.
5, 6 days. And at some point around the first week in July, July 5th, 6th, or 7th, you came to the apartment.
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
We had went inside the apartment.
Who's we?
Michael and I, sorry. Michael
So
and
you
I
were
went-
out, so you weren't staying there. Where had you met him?
We actually met at work. We've been together for a year and a half.
I understand that, but you came home to the apartment together, and that was, I think, on the 7th of July.
Yes.
On the 7th of July. Where had you been? You'd been out, you hadn't been staying in the apartment.
Oh, no, yeah, I was out actually just going to rosaries and stuff like that. I actually went to go pick him up after a family function from work. After picking him up from work, we went back to the apartment, went upstairs.
Was that the first time you had been back to the apartment?
No.
Since you left?
Since I left, I've been there on and off. Like, not on and off, but like every other couple days. But I've been there, not living there, but I've been there spending the night and, you know.
Have you ever, when you were there, have you seen Miss Garrett?
Nope, but I've seen her belongings, though.
Okay. But you knew she was there because he told you that she was there.
Exactly.
So on the 7th, you picked him up, you went back to the apartment, and you'd been there before, but you had never actually physically seen her in the apartment.
Correct.
Despite the fact that you knew she was there.
Correct.
Because you'd been introduced to her.
Correct.
Okay. And what happened?
So we went upstairs. She seen that I was with him, and I guess that must have made her mad.
No, just tell me what happened.
So there was an argument.
Tell me what the argument was.
I don't even know what the argument was, honestly. She just seen me, and then there was an argument that unfolded about what I still don't know still to this day.
Okay, so now Miss Garrett, they came home, and?
Okay, so them two never came in the apartment together at all that night and previously.
No, just tell me that night.
Oh, that night. So me and Michael discussed that, hey, listen, things are not working out. He has had multiple people in and out his house, and he was making me very uncomfortable, as well as Miss Serrano popping up.
So what do you say? You said multiple people in and out of the house?
Guys, women every night. I would sleep in the park. One night I slept in the park because he had Miss Serrano popping up at 3 o'clock in the morning, her throwing my things around, telling me to get out the house. So I had to go in my car and go sleep in the park. And we had conversations that night when it happened, when she popped up. Hey, can I go sleep?
What date was that?
It was, I want to say July the 2nd or the 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before the 7th?
Right.
Okay. And that's when you went out and slept in the park?
Yes.
Just a second. Mr. Cody, you remember that evening?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And that evening on July 2nd or 3rd, Miss Serrano was around, and they don't get along.
They do not.
Which is exactly what you anticipated.
Of course.
When you invited her to stay with you.
Sadly.
Absolutely right. Going to have two women fight over the prize, the grand prize. Okay. Did you take $750 from her?
No, I did not.
Did you? I didn't ask you with a loan.
Yes,
I didn't ask you. She has proof that she gave it to you.
Yes, she.
Yeah, okay. So let's not play. Did you take $750 from her?
I did.
So it goes back to her. That's $750. Now we're going to get to what she alleges is the remainder of her lawsuit, which is damages for assault. Okay. On the 7th of July, there was some sort of an altercation. You want to tell me what that was?
Yes.
You did something that annoyed him. You went back to take care of your sick mother, which also attests to his bad character. And then what he does is he invites someone, a woman, to come into the house because he knows that it's going to irritate you. That's exactly what happened. He acknowledges that.
Nashera Garrett has accused her former friend, Michael Codia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, of damaging her car and assaulting her.
Now, on the 7th of July, there was some sort of an altercation. You want to tell me what that was?
Yes. So that evening, I went into the house, and he had his witness, Darius, there. And
this person?
Yes. And me and Michael had conversations about him before, and I just thought it wasn't a good influence. So that evening, I walk in the house, and I'm sorry, let me back that up. I asked Michael if he's gonna have men come in the house, could he please be there while I'm there with them? Because I didn't feel comfortable. He said yes. So when I walked in that evening and saw Darius there, I texted Michael and said, Michael, we need to have another talk, because every talk we have, I'm thinking that we're having understandings, but we're not. So, and Darius set up a whole twin-sized bed up in the living room, So I went out to my car. I said, Michael, when you get home, I'm in my car, so meet me in my car when you get off. It was around 8:30 when Michael had came, and I was sitting in my car. Me and Michael were talking. And
was he in your car with you?
No. He was outside of my driver's side. So that's when Miss Brianna came, and she started hitting him upside his head. And I tried to get out of the spot that I was in. And next thing I know, my window's down, and she comes and she's attacking me, punching me in my face. She keyed up my car. When she first came up to my window, she keyed my car. Yeah, I can show you.
What? Okay, did you file a police report?
I didn't.
Why?
I just didn't. I took care of my bruises and my scar. I did call 911, but then I hung up. I just didn't. And
okay. Do you have photographs of your injury?
Yes. There you go.
So what you're telling me is that this was a scratch across your chest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a scratch that was caused by Miss Serrano.
Yes.
And that was in July.
Yes.
Ms. Serrano, I'd like to hear your version of what happened on the 7th of July.
Like I said before, there was just an argument that took place.
That wasn't. I want you to start the argument from the beginning.
Okay.
Okay. She's outside in her car.
Mm-hmm.
Michael is talking to her at the car.
Oh yeah.
Did you drive over there or did you walk? How did you get there?
Parked my car like in front of the house because they were on the side street. So I walked.
So you walked there?
Exactly.
You parked the car. Now let me ask you a couple of questions, Ms. Serrano. Yeah. Did Mr. Codia ever give you an indication that Ms. Garrett was no longer going to be living there?
Not that I could recall, no.
Well, I want you to try to recall.
I was told after that whole day went, the day after that, the conversation was going to be for her to leave the house.
Okay. And what were you coming over for? What brought you over there at 8 o'clock at night?
For him.
What do you mean for him?
Well, he left something in my car. He left a charger or something. It was something he left in my car that I was returning back to him.
Did you tell him you were coming over?
Nope. I just popped up.
The answer is no.
No.
You were curious.
Yes, I was. Of course I was.
There you were.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
See what's happening to him? This fly is getting vengeance on him.
Not getting on me.
What the hell's going on? Oh, you got a swapper too? Wow.
I'm waiting for it to
waiting.
come over here. Did you seek medical treatment?
I did not.
Mr. Cody, I'm going to wrap up this case because I really understand it. I believe I understand it. What I don't understand is why, and this doesn't require an answer, it's sort of a rhetorical question, why you would want to take someone who had been a lifelong friend and someone with whom you are having a child and put either one or both of them in a situation they don't know each other really, so they don't know whether to like each other or whether not to like each other. I mean, I assume that at this point you would, at least Miss Serrano was planning a long-term relationship with you, and she's having a child, and I assume she thinks you're going to be there to be supportive of the child. Maybe. You have other children?
Yes, I do.
How many children do you have?
I have another son.
Okay, how old?
5 years old, 5.
And he lives with his mother?
Yes, he does.
So you see.
Yes. There you go.
This one's a pesky one. I'm usually good at it. I missed it before. I don't know why you would put them in a situation where they would dislike each other all to satisfy your ego.
Wow.
Oh, that's exactly what you did. You put them in a position where two apparently nice ladies, both of whom care about you in different ways, you put them, well, do you care about him?
Yes.
You think she cares about him?
I've never, the entire time I was with
They just know each other for a long time.
It was way before me, so I guess if you would have put it like that.
And they also went to senior prom together.
Just a second.
Wow, like
I didn't ask you.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
I didn't ask you anything. This is not a shout out. What I'm telling you is it goes to his character. He knows her for a long time. They never had a romantic relationship. With you, he's had a romantic relationship. You did something that annoyed him. You went back to take care of your sick mother, which also attests to his bad character. And then what he does is he invites a woman to come into the house, lets you know about it, because he knows that it's going to irritate you. That's exactly what happened. He acknowledges that. That doesn't make him a good guy. So I want you to think about that. But I absolutely believe that you caused a scratch on her, which you can't do. Anyway, Mr. Cody, you owe her $750. And Miss Serrano, you can't put your hands on anybody, no matter how angry you are at them. And I'm awarding her $1,000 for you putting your hands on her. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I was very satisfied.
I mean, I knew it would cause havoc, but
Different women every night.
I try to keep it in secret.
And that's why we stopped being friends before, but I definitely learned my lesson.
I feel like it's unfortunate. I feel like she manipulated the whole situation.
The friendship is over.
I'm gonna be a father to my child, man.
After working with you now for almost a year, I'm starting to get so jaded from these cases that I'm starting to think that just staying single might be my best option if these are the alternatives. Yeah. Just blows my mind. He admitted to just pitting an old friend and your fiance, who's pregnant with your child, against each other.
To satisfy your ego.
Yes. Sounds like a terrible idea, was a terrible idea, turned out to be a terrible idea, and it'll land you in court on occasion.
You're right, but rethink that staying single part.
Think about